All right, yeah, we'll start with the opening statement, coach, and then open up the question.
Yeah, well, good morning, Andrew. Good to see you. Good day, big week, big opportunities in front of us. Got to maybe kind of get back and recover a little bit yesterday from the road trip, which obviously from a win perspective was a great road trip for us. Got better for sure. Didn't play great all the time, played good at times. Got to watch the film from K-State yesterday, and I think the players saw a lot that maybe we missed offensively that, when that presents itself again, I think we're prepared, a little bit better for that and some shots and some holes and gaps that I think we can find. So feel a little bit better about that and maybe fixing a few of those things. And then now really you just turn your attention to the next one. Obviously a really, really good Texas Tech team coming in here who's playing really well, obviously undefeated and ranked, playing really well on the defensive end. That's where I see the biggest difference between last year and this year is what they're doing on that end. So they'll pose some problems for sure, and they have some offensive firepower and production off the bench, and their leading scorer actually comes off the bench right now. So they've got some size inside. They can shoot it from the perimeter. They've got it rolling. They're playing with a ton of confidence. So we'll have to be, at our best, to figure out a way to beat them, but excited for that challenge, excited to be back home where it feels like we haven't been here for a little bit lately. I think we're in a pretty good spot and fairly healthy and all those kind of things. So I think the mindset is right, and we'll be excited to play tomorrow.
What specifically are they doing defensively that's been really good?
Yeah, I mean, they'll pick you up a little bit. They may trap early, they may not trap. They can run and jump a little bit. So I think they've got some reads there in the full court, and then when they get in the half court, it can change a little bit. I think probably personnel, their ball screen defense can change a little bit based on who they play, it looks like. But they take away space, gaps, they help quick. They can wall up at the rim, and they've got some shot blocking presence in there. So, yeah, their rotations are good. They're very sound. They're very solid. They're competing. Like I said, they're playing hard. It looks like they're having fun together. So, yeah, they're clicking on all cylinders, it looks like right now.
Ohio State, you really hadn't been in a close game late. How confident were you that they'd be able to handle it? And obviously they handled it quite well.
The K-State game, is that what you're talking? Yeah, we hadn't. You try to practice some of those situations here and there, and, you can never make up every one of them, that's for sure. Their response was good. We had the 7-point lead with 7 to go, I want to say, and then I think they either took the lead or tied it up for sure, maybe took the lead, and then made some good plays. I thought we got better defensively and kind of started to figure some things out as the game went on, and then got some crucial stops late. And obviously, Gia hit the big offensive shot, and then Jordan hit the 2 big free throws to get it to 4. So, we made some good plays late when we really just didn't have a ton of offensive rhythm necessarily. I thought Carter and Mimi kind of had it going and carried us a little bit. I thought we turned down quite a few threes that when we watched it back that were there and we should have taken, and I think we will in the future, and we had been shooting it really well. So, we'll be comfortable back home too, and I think we'll take those shots if it presents itself. And then to get a couple stops late was good for us. Yep.
Called for Gia specifically, or is that just how it worked out?
It had a couple options. That was one of the options for sure. So yeah, you typically try to give them more than one option, but yeah, we had told her in the timeout that might present itself, and to make sure she was ready to make a play.
Coach, when someone has a leading scorer coming off the bench, do you go into the game kind of ready to deliberately change your defensive game plan when she comes in, or is it more of a, however the game's flowing the first few minutes? What is that kind of like for you when a leading scorer comes off the bench like that?
Well, it can be a little bit of both, but no, she's going to get attention for sure. She's even I think every coach, when you start to do your scouting report, you pull out the season box score and you kind of look who's the leading scorer, and you start to kind of game plan based on some of those types of things. It's different when they do come off the bench because you don't know, is that going to be a minute, 2 minutes? What's the score going to be at that point? What is there game flow going on that dictates something? So I think you always have a few different options, game plans, maybe different assignments on who you want to guard based on, where they move them. But do they play her at the 3? Do you play her at the 4? Or they go so-called smaller? Or do they stay a little bit big with traditional 5s? So you just prepare for all of it and then let the game kind of adjust as it goes.
Working the high low and working this kind of dual post and lane presences inside. Did you see that coming, or did that just kind of grow out of when Jordan was out a little bit? And does Does that stay kind of your primary attack right now?
Yeah, no, well, I don't know that that's the primary attack. They're playing pretty well. I mean, that's what I think they're doing. We thought Carter had the ability to do that. When JT got hurt, it allowed Carter to kind of shine a little bit more, or at least just get a few more opportunity, and she's taken advantage of it. But she scored at a high, double figures at Wisconsin and was a big time rebounder, so it's not overly surprising that she's getting opportunity. And Mimi's kind of done this for most of the year. She kind of gotten in her zone the other day and was just out there kind of hooping a little bit at K-State, is what is the term I like to use. And you get lost in the game, though, and you just start to play and you feel good about it. And that was her kind of doing that. And so, yeah, we want to utilize them, but I think we have 3 dynamic guards that are pretty talented too. What I've liked about this team is if one person's having an off game, or, Jordan didn't score it particularly well, we've still got 3 or 4 options out there that are pretty good offensively, and then even the ones that we can bring off the bench. So I think there's some versatility to what we do on the offensive end right now.
Getting the ball to them initially, it's a different kind of pass than moving it on the perimeter, obviously, for threes or to set up, things from the perimeter. Is that something your guards had to work with, be confident a little bit? Seemed like saw some different kind of passes, some drops, some bounce passes, things like that got them the ball in good spots.
Yeah, it's just a connection. In the past we haven't had as many, like paint present, throw it into the paint type kids. We had JT last year and maybe Tears a little bit, but not a ton. And so just trying to continue to work through that. Some guards have come here and say, yeah, we've never really had posts that we can give it to in there, so we're trying to learn what that looks like. So it's playing through there, but again, like I said, we can get into ball screen stuff too with those guards and let them do some damage. And obviously if we turn you over, we can get out in the open floor where the guards are pretty elite. So yeah, again, different ways to do it, and I think you have to be, like I said, versatile, and you got to be able to win multiple ways, play different ways. I thought Kansas was a little bit more free-flowing offensive game to win. Obviously, Kansas State was a little more on the defensive end, so we found a way to win that one it was a little more low-scoring, but I think that's what good teams are capable of doing.
How important is it when you have 2 post players, you're not playing 4 out and they can go in a double, and they're able to play off each other a little bit? How much easier does that kind of make it down?
Yeah, it can if they'll continue to read off of each other. That's the challenge is, people will try to take away some space. Mimi does have the ability to stretch it and play on the perimeter, and, she can shoot the 3. We've tried to just get her to be selective and take the right ones, which she has, and is shooting it at a high percentage. So, when teams want to do that, she has the ability to stretch it if they want to go double. But then, trying to get some action on the backside too is pretty important as well. But just trying to create space and get those guys opportunity to go to work.
Even she had a couple mid-range shots, and that even seemed like it draws them out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're either going to give it up or you're going to get, pull you out, and then she can drive by you, or maybe play off of Carter at that point, or JT or CC, whoever's in there. They can play kind of that 2-man high-low game, and Tech does quite a bit of that too with their post. So it's a thing. If you have 2 post players or one that's pretty good, you got to figure out how to get them space.
So Mimi was hooping. Is that a high-level Mark Kellogg compliment?
That's real high level right there. When you get in that zone and you're just hooping, you are free of mind at that point, and you're just kind of like the move she made in the third quarter. That she kind of did the little dirt fade over the big kid. You're like, yeah, okay, now you're just going, like you're just straight hooping at that point. And but she has the skills and ability, and you don't always get into that zone where you feel that comfortable. But that for the most part in that game, after the first rotation through, I thought she felt really comfortable and looked good.
Sort of curious, before the Houston game, you highlighted free throw shooting as an area of concern for your team. 3 Big 12 games, have you seen the sort of uptick there that you want?
Yeah, by percentage, I guess. I don't think we were actually getting to the line as much as we were earlier in the year. Percentage, I think, has gone up a little bit from earlier in the year. So to answer your question, I guess somewhere in between, probably. Like it's a little bit of both. Yeah, percentage might be up, but volume is down. And so how do we continue to get volume maybe back up just a little bit and then convert at a high rate?
I know it's a small sample size, but is that just a consequence of the way that the game is called against Big 12 teams and the physicality that you can expect?
Well, that, and we made so many threes in those first 2 games. So if you're shooting, and making threes, you're probably not getting to at the rim at the same rate. So it's just a, I guess, pick your poison type way. Like if you want to try to take away the paint, then we have the ability to make threes. So you may give that up. If you want to try to take away the 3, then maybe we have the ability to get to the rim and to the free throw line a little bit more. So again, being versatile enough to play both ways is really important.
Mark, I know it's only January, but we kind of assume these next 3 games will go a long way to deciding the standings. So just how do you want the team to approach this stretch?
Yeah, really. I mean, yes. important, sure, fun, exciting. This is what you want for January 7th. It will feel, probably NC tournament-ish, but we've already played some of those that were in November. So that's not unusual. That's what the Big 12 is, though. It's almost every night, They still count the same. So just like whether we're playing Tech or playing Kansas State, you're either 1-0 or you're 0-1. And I keep saying that. They go the same way. You only play these teams once, so we don't see them again. So it's the only time you get to kind of see what you can do against them. So, it's too early to talk about all of that. We'll let everybody else kind of bring that stuff up and the undefeateds and those types of things, which is still crazy that we've only played 3 games and there's only 2 teams that haven't lost. But yeah, it's a gauntlet. It's coming. We know it, regardless if it's 3 ranked teams, that we do have on the schedule next or just quality Big 12 opponents. It's really just all we're talking about is trying to figure out how to beat Texas Tech right now, and then we'll figure out what comes next. Most of the time, I don't even remember who we play. I have to get my staff to tell me when do we play again and who do we play.
Mark, I've heard you use the word grit a lot this year. Obviously, you guys have pulled out a lot of wins, gritty wins. Do you talk about identity with your team at this point in the year? Especially like you just said, playing the Big 12. Iowa State loses a home game the other night. Just every night, anybody can get beat. How much do you throw that word grit around, and how much do you just kind of sit down with your team and say, what is our identity? This is what we want. Stuff like that. Does that get thrown around a lot in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, yes, a little bit, not a ton. You're always trying to work on your identity. That's part of it. I think we already know that. I think we probably talk about that a little bit more. Summer, fall, I guess, is probably when those like deeper conversations happen. Now we would be like showing them the film and be like, yeah, this is how we want to look, or this is a play that defines the character of our team, which yes, in turn, I guess is saying that without saying it, So it's just trying to show them now, like, man, when we're at our best, this is what it looks like, right? This is the toughness, this is the grittiness, this is what we want to represent, and then these are maybe some possessions that this isn't what we want to represent. Like, we think we're better than this in these possessions. So again, it's a standard. That's kind of what we talk about more now. Is there's a standard, there's an expectation in which we expect you to play or meet. And if you don't, then we're disappointed in that, whether we win or lose. And if we meet it, then we're making strides to go in the right direction. So that's kind of what we talk about probably a little bit more now than just like being gritty and those types of things. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.